Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube have all justified banning users on the grounds that they promote conspiracy theories. But of course, they don't have a problem with conspiracy theories. What they care about is suppressing opinions they don't like. Do you need proof? Well, here's a very popular conspiracy theory that has been repeated on television day in and day out for months on end. The theory is that the real governor of the state of Georgia is not Brian Kemp. Kemp is an imposter, a fraud, maybe a lizard man wearing a human suit. The real governor of Georgia is someone completely different, Stacey Abrams. This is a very popular conspiracy theory. Watch.
Without voter suppression, Stacey Abrams would be the governor of Georgia.
If this country wasn't racist, Stacey Abrams would be governor.
I don't need to tell Georgia about this. Stacey Abrams ought to be the governor of Georgia. When racially motivated voter suppression is permitted, when districts are drawn so that politicians get to choose their vote, we cannot truly say that we live in a democracy.
Keep in mind, just as a factual matter, there's no evidence for anything. Not one point you just heard. None. And we look, nothing partisan here. There's no evidence. But the biggest proponent of this lunatic conspiracy theory is the person at the heart of it, Stacey Abrams. Last night at a DNC gala, Abrams said this, quote, "You don't have the right to vote in the state of Georgia. We have the opportunity to possibly think about maybe being able to participate in the right to vote in the state of Georgia." End quote. Keep in mind, Stacey Abrams somehow went to Yale, and that's deranged. Doesn't mean smart people can't be demented. I guess this is a perfect example of it. Georgia has more registered voters than it's ever had in the history of the state of Georgia, almost 7 million. In the 2018 vote, voter turnout was 57%. That's an increase of 14% over the previous gubernatorial election. Okay? 1.4 million extra people voted in Georgia in 2018 compared to 4 years before in 2014. It was one of the highest turnout midterm elections in the history of the state of Georgia. Those are the facts about what happened. Racial suppression. Nuts. So it is a conspiracy theory, and is driven by narcissism and entitlement and childish whining, which are the driving forces on the left, as you know. Turns out, Stacey Abrams lost an election. That's happened before. In fact, it happens to thousands of people every year in America. But instead of accepting that, she's claiming the entire system is rigged. Again, this is narcissism on parade. And it damages democracy a lot more than any Russian Facebook ads. So why aren't Twitter and YouTube banning Stacey Abrams and Kamala Harris and that moron Seth Moulton for pushing this dangerous conspiracy theory? They're against conspiracy theories, right? So to get to the bottom of that question, we're joined tonight by Fox Chief National Correspondent Ed Henry. Hey, Ed.
Tucker, great to see you. I mean, you make some very important points, because when you go through this, there should not be voter suppression. But in fact, in this race, we don't have evidence of it. There should not be voter fraud in Georgia or anywhere else. If that's what Democrats want, maybe they'll get behind voter ID laws that Republicans have been talking about for a long time. But the bottom line is, beyond all of that, as you say, in every race, House races, Senate races, gubernatorial races, the votes are ultimately counted. And at the end, there's a winner or a loser. And then everybody moves on. Otherwise, it's dangerous. And how do I know that? I know that it's a direct threat to democracy if you don't accept the results. Because Hillary Clinton told all of us that, in 2016, at the final debate in Nevada, when Donald Trump seemed to hesitate about whether he'd accept the election results. Hillary Clinton, I'm directly quoting her, said, "It's a direct threat to our democracy if you don't accept the election results." And what's happening here? Whether it's Stacey Abrams, whether it's Kamala Harris, or Hillary Clinton herself, who, let's face it, has been traveling not just around the United States, but around the world, suggesting that the election was robbed from her because of the Russians for the better part of 2 years or more. And so she laid the marker down, Hillary Clinton, that it's a direct threat to our democracy if you do not accept election results. She said that. It's in the transcript. You can look it up. And then here we are more than 2 years later, and Democrats are not accepting the results in Georgia. And if you tell them they're wrong, they say you're racist.
Did you go to Harvard, Ed?
No, I can guarantee you I didn't.
I didn't either. I can't actually remember where I went to college, but I'm positive it wasn't Harvard. It was not an Ivy League school. This is a much broader question about American society, but I've noticed that some of the least bright people in our public conversation went to Ivy League schools. I'm serious. So Seth Moulton went to Andover and Harvard. How did that happen? Stacey Abrams went to Yale Law. Chris Cuomo went to Yale undergrad. Like, this is not on the level. This is not a meritocracy. Can we just be honest about that, or no?
Well, and let's talk about the bench for the Democratic Party right now, because it's interesting. Stacey Abrams is seen as a rising star. She lost the gubernatorial race. Beto O'Rourke lost the Senate race in Texas, and yet is a winner to Democrats. And all of a sudden, remember, I mean, his star has faded a bit, of course, but it was only a couple months ago. He was on the cover of Vanity Fair, and he was the next great hope. He was the next Obama, we were told. All because of the hype. But remember, he lost the Senate race in Texas. Stacey Abrams lost in Georgia, and yet they're two of the brightest stars. What does that say about the bench for Democrats?
Well, but also he went to Columbia. I'm obsessed. I'm totally obsessed with this. What is going on at the admissions offices in Ivy League schools and letting in people who are demonstrably dumb? We need to get to the bottom of this.
We need a Tucker Carlson Tonight investigation,
Yes,
and I
we
guarantee
do.
it's coming.
Yes, we do. That's unbelievable. And Henry, it's so great to see you. Thank you.
Good to see you. Have a good weekend.